This is the 5th day of Elul, and it is podcast number 5 in this series. This will be the only podcast on the second section of the Jewish morning prayer service, which is called Verses of Song. One reason for the brevity here is that I'm just not an expert on music and song. Another is the way this section is used in prayer services varies quite a bit from one congregation to another. Moreover, in congregational prayers at Rosh Hashanah, which is what we're leading up to, there is usually a great deal of different music, different melodies and content, so this section of prayer won't get much attention on that holiday. So I'm just going to focus on the purpose which applies every day as well as on Shabbat and holidays, and which you can incorporate into your personal understanding, no matter what's going on in the community. Whereas the first section of morning blessings, which we dealt with in the previous day, the first section is a personal preparation. The Verses of Song is a communal one. Singing brings us together with familiar melodies and words. Here, by using psalms, which means selections mainly from the book of Psalms, sometimes a few other biblical passages, we are connecting with a deep and ancient Jewish tradition. The chanting or singing of these words goes back to ancient times, not only to the first and second temple, but also in outlying communities like the Jews at Qumran who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls. The opening blessing of the section announces that we will glorify God with the songs of David, who is regarded as the author of many of the Psalms. By invoking the presence of King David, we remember him as the sweet singer of Israel. He was a man of passion, a warrior, a king, but here he is a poet and musician, master of the lyre or harp. His playing and singing could soothe the heart of King Saul in his madness. And this, in turn, reminds us that music and song are a tikkun for the second world of the mystics, the world of formation. If you recall, we said the world of formation is an environment of feeling, emotion, passion, a way of being conscious through feeling rather than thought. But emotion is often experienced as personal. And when it's intense or painful, it can be disturbing or frightening, or as we say, crazy-making, like King Saul. Emotion escapes ordinary words, and because it's difficult to express, we often isolate from others in order to, as we say, deal with or do something about our emotions. We distract ourselves by activity, or we find a way to induce pleasant emotions, or we go to someone who knows how we feel, that is, who can resonate with our emotional state. Music is another way. Feeling is experienced as vibration in the body, and so it corresponds to music, which is vibration produced by the voice, by instruments, also by the resonating space in which music is experienced. Rhythm, melody, harmony engage our being with or without words. In all cultures, music is revitalizing and enhances spiritual consciousness. Like emotions, the experience of music is fleeting, but when we do music together, we're also supported by connection with others, and it helps the memory last longer. The verses of song in our prayer book are clearly intended to engage us with collective memory, specifically of the ancient experience of going up to the temple. The centerpiece is Psalms 145 through 150, the last 6 hymns in the book of Psalms. The first of these major psalms, number 145, is preceded in our services by a prologue called Ashrei, which means happy. We say, happy are those who sit in your house continually praising you. Happy is the people who have this. Happy the people whose God is Adonai. We are longing to be infused with the spirit of joy. The creators of this section of prayer knew that our hearts want to sing. As I go on to read the words of the 6 Psalms, I imagine the scenario. King David takes the lead, proclaiming, "I will exalt you, my God," and that we will all join him, and indeed all beings are joining in God's praise, not just humans, but animals and natural forces as well. People are streaming toward the temple of God, pilgrims coming from afar, families and small groups walking for days, their paths gradually joining the great roads, singing as they walk. As they come closer, the groups become larger. People take out their flutes and tambourines, and the songs become more and more joyous. The poor and the rich, the old and the young, the farmers and the warriors, all come with a single purpose: to celebrate the festival at the temple. It's an ingathering, and not just the holiday harvest, but the ingathering of people, with the pleasure of being together and of thanking God. In remembering this while we sing or chant today in our synagogues, we connect across time and space, as well as with those who sit with us in the immediate moment. We are indeed reinvigorated, revived. Music is one of the great connectors. It soothes our fears and overcomes our isolation, helping us discover we are not alone. So it is a tikkun. The blessings that open and close this entire section name God as life of the worlds, reminding us that life lived deeply is a life of feeling, lived in connection with others near and far. If you're interested for more on music, you can look at the blog by my colleague, Cantor Jonathan Friedman. It's called Thinking on Music at wordpress.com. The next blog on Monday and podcast will be on the 3rd section of prayer, where we will study for several days.